All right, today, a mixture of a history lesson and philosophy. Let's start with the one and only Marcus Aurelius. Known globally, perhaps. Well, if you don't know who Marcus Aurelius is, that's going to be a problem. But I know quite a lot of people do. Anybody who's been in a history class and read anything about the Roman Empire and their many Caesars will have likely have heard along the line in the likes of Gaius himself, Augustus, a name Marcus Aurelius. Now, here's where things get kind of nutty. As you observe, as you read, as you listen to history, especially in the age of information, which of course, by virtue of being the age of information, it too is thus the age of dis and misinformation. Because in order for one thing to be, we must have its opposite also be. So it kind of terrifies me that somewhere out there is perhaps an opposite me. Doppelganger, as I believe it's a German word. Das Doppelganger, Ganger, however you'd pronounce it. But at any rate, I've already rambled too long here. Let's get to the subject. Stoicism. Now, in the world we live in, which is awkward for somebody in my position, my predicament, my condition, whatever it is, whether it's sickness or whatever. Reality no longer really exists as it were to like the normie. I'm not here and now. I am yesterday, tomorrow, and today simultaneously. And fair enough, I could just be mad. And I don't mean angry. Anger is my default. I mean mad as insane. Possibly. I mean, is everybody else wrong? Possible. It's more plausible that I am wrong, right? I'm the bad guy, I'm the asshole, so to speak. But that's neither here nor there when it's relevant to the subject at hand, which is Marcus Aurelius and Stoicism. Why? Because for a long time now, a lot of people have pointed their finger at me and said how difficult I am, how uncompromising, although I've never really been called uncompromising, but the gist of it is that people typically tend to think that I am some sort of stubborn prick. Well, if y'all gonna be the unstoppable force, somebody's gotta be the immovable object, of course. And something that's always fascinated me has been the idea of Stoicism. It did not originate in Marcus Aurelius. It's a bit older than he. But it was something that he not only turned to, but that he embodied through his reign. And of course, inevitably, in his meditations, which is a alleged work. Again, now we're gonna have to look at history as alleged because it's impossible to know whether or not it was true. Because we have a profound understanding through revisionist history that the losers typically weren't allowed to leave behind any histories. Only the victors. And if you're the victor, you can weave whatever truths you want. That's more or less how the world's always been. But at any rate, what's at the core of Stoicism? The core of Stoicism is a simple truth. Life is a bitch, and then you die. And the awareness of that should, through Stoic philosophy and practice, right, the application of the philosophy in everyday life, open a few doors to you with respect to how to live a more complete life, in the sense that once you understand that life sucks, it's nothing but suffering and inevitable death, you can perhaps find in that misery, that suffering, an alternative. And what's the alternative? To embrace it. It's funny because people think of Stoics as emotionless, apathetic, right? An apathy. There's an apathy there, right? That the fact that you don't let things get you, to bother you, as though a Stoic were made of marble. No. The only thing made of marble is the Stoic's will. And to bring you all into the future, although not the present, but the relative past, a certain Friedrich Nietzsche put forth this idea of the Übermensch, Superman, which is perhaps the culmination of meditations as put forth by Marcus Aurelius. And while a lot of it could be fabricated, well, not so much Nietzsche, although knowing that his sister took his words and perverted them, and that the Nazi Party appropriated his ideology in order to drive their agenda, one has to wonder, right? How true is it? Any of it. Me, you included. And in my recent fall from grace, whether by my own design or by virtue of the apathy of society herself, one of the things that's become very evident to me is people's agendas. Over the last couple of days, for instance, I frankly couldn't be bothered to do anything other than just go to work. I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I don't have the mental fortitude to do things. And then you start to realize how it's not accidental, it's not a coincidence, it's providence. It's God's way of communicating to you in a language that requires a certain level of ignorance and intelligence, a mixture of the two. And then you realize how things are just continuously trying to break you, to domesticate you, to rob you of your authority, which is the authority to be and remain. And people are so invested in it that most of them don't even know that they're doing it. And it's funny because people nowadays like to talk a big game about humility, right? As though it was some remedy for pride, which is all that a whole lot of us have left, right? And pride goeth before the fall. So, what is a Stoic then? What is this Übermensch that Nietzsche put forth? It's the simple understanding that life is chaos. And in that chaos, you must develop the mental fortitude to not only remain together or as together as you can, but to navigate the chaos, you have to have strength of will. To finalize Nietzsche here, the will to power, not control, power. It's rough, man. Like, I'm kind of suicidal again because simply, and this is the thing about being suicidal and my latest lapse. As you realize that people really don't care for you, because in order to care, you don't care. And you have to walk that middle line between the two from moment to moment as things evolve and change, specifically your will. You start to realize that we are treating each other more and more not as human beings. We've literally become nothing more than a master-slave morality that's so inherently flawed and destructive that the only thing it can do is breed resentment and hatred, because it doesn't foster anything other than false expectations. More the expectations that you are God himself here or herself, and everybody else is just a serf to you. No, that's of course not true. If this is a game, this is a co-op game. And it's a co-op of now going on 8 billion players. Maybe more, maybe less, give or take a few million. And the thing that really, forgive me, really blows my mind is that I used to push back so hard against it. Still do. Just don't have as much energy left to do it. So now, come what may, tomorrow is May 1st, 2023. My childhood hero died some 19 years ago. No, Jesus, Lord, forgive me. 29 years ago, going on 30. And it's a day that I try not to think about, because as a kid watching him die live on TV like that, and for those of you who don't know who I'm talking about Ayrton Senna, the greatest Formula One race car driver ever, and one of the greatest Brazilians that my country has ever produced. Flawed man in many ways, but a through and true stoic, and a man that a lot of people call proud. Before his death, mind you, people had no clue as to the extent, of course outside of his immediate circle, right, as to what he was doing. And he was doing a lot, not only for himself and his career and his family and his peers. You can thank the safety that you have in the modern Formula One cars, and by virtue of that, today's cars. On a very tragic weekend in Imola, Italy, that happened 29 years ago. Today would have been, April 30th, 1994. And it would have been the Saturday. So today would have been the day that I believe Rubens Barrichello, another Brazilian, would suffer the second accident in the weekend to seriously injure someone. I could be misremembering this, but I believe it was on the Friday on the practices that there was another tragic accident. It was a weekend of darkness for Formula One, for the drivers involved in the accidents. And it's around this time that much was going on and being said behind the scenes. Senna being one of the outspoken members of the Grand Prix, of the Formula One circus, right? Traveling circus, who called forth for more safety regulations and improvements to the safety technology for the drivers. Because when you're driving around what is essentially a missile on wheels, especially then, I want to say this part of me was still in the era of the V12 turbo engines. So you're talking about cars throwing out revs in excess of 20,000, capable of reaching accelerations 0 to 60 just shy of a few seconds, and top speeds well north of 200 miles an hour, or 400 plus kilometers an hour. So these weren't toys. These were very much state-of-the-art automobiles designed for races to push themselves and their cars to the limit. And if anybody did that and did it well, it was Senna. You know, modern race car drivers pale in comparison, simply by virtue of the fact that they have all these driver aids to assist them, to keep them secure. It took Senna's life, though, to get them there. And I can't think of many fellow Brazilians who are a better example of a stoic, of the Ubermensch, Superman, right? In our case, than him. And it's something that I've almost been subconsciously aspiring to be for a long time. And then you realize how much the world is basically just a play, running a impromptu script, or when there are writers involved, right, the best that they can do to maintain the appearances of reality without allowing the general population to realize that it's all just a game, a play. And therein lies the power of Stoicism. It's not that you remove yourself from the theater, but you take the power of the director, the writer, and the actor, and combine it all into one. I no longer care about people in any way. It's kind of hard to explain this. And this is going to make me persona non grata simply because you are so hopelessly dependent on everybody else maintaining appearances for the sake of appearances. Society doesn't care that you're a serial killer or a pedophile. So long as they don't know, you can be whatever the fuck you want. And that's where the Stoic comes in. And that's why the Stoic becomes both the hero and the villain of the story rather quickly. Because we don't accept that. It's not enough. I don't want to know what you're doing. For all I care, you can kill yourself or live on forever and ever. I don't care. Not me. Why should I care? And that's the thing. That's the world we live in. And it's tragic because in trying to do right by the people, simply because of all my traumas and how that has affected and shaped my mind, my illness, not to take into account the beatings that my brain has taken, physical. But then you start to realize more and more that it's just a a tool to your family, to your friends, to your society. And it tells you this lie that if you work hard enough, if you do well enough, you can be wealthy. As though that makes you better. As though that makes anything better. This is why you have to embrace Stoicism. And simply be very picky about what you even care about. And give your energy to. Because the takers, they have no limits. They don't know what a limit is. So the givers are the ones that have to impose those limitations, those limits. In my condition, in my situation, all I ever really wanted was support. Freely given. Not because I have to ask. Because, as I like to say, if I have to ask you for it, it's not yours to give. That's the simple truth. It's a weird truth, but consider this. If there's enough resources in the world for everybody to be well-fed, never go thirsty again, to be housed and clothed, how is it that we're still dealing with such issues as poverty, hunger? Makes you think on it. It's a matter of distribution, right? Logistics. And that's where people are failing. We've been doing it all wrong. We gotta learn how to let people fend for themselves. But do so in a way that we're there with them. Not as safeguards or training wheels, guardian angels, no. Be there for them because nothing means anything. What gives it meaning is the life experience that goes with it. We all have desires, wants, needs. And some of those range from horrible things to great things. But I don't know anymore. At this point, I feel like I've reached my limit. I tried what I could, done everything that I could, and it got me here. So, I'm done. It's all over. Or maybe not. An ending is just the beginning. And I will no more play by society's rules in anything. People don't owe you nothing. When a person gives you a polite smile, treat you with kindness, respect, dignity, they're not doing so because they deserve it. They're doing so because they deserve it. So, learn from the Stoic tradition of treating people and meeting people where they're at. You don't know where they're at. It's not your job to find out. It's theirs to let you know. And not everybody communicates the same way. Me, I'm at the point where if you're not giving me obscene amounts of money as a trade for my energy, I'm not bothered to give you any energy, because I'm simply playing the game on expert mode, so to speak. In an expert mode, you understand that everything is energy. And me and you holding hands, dancing around, singing Kumbaya doesn't do anything for me. Because I understand just how hollow and shallow that energy is. Real energy is action. Action pursuing a goal. My goal is to create art, to make the world beautiful and entertain. Other people have the goal of healing the broken and wounded, to perhaps cure the many ailments and diseases which affect us and plague us. Others to teach, to educate, to share the human experience, their own past, present, and infer in all of that some form of a future where we are better, where we are stronger. But ain't nobody gotta do nothing for no one. Nobody owes nobody nothing. And if you think that I am bad because I'm not pretending to be your friend or to like you, which, as I've made it very explicit, I don't like people. Like me liking people died 2 years ago, when I realized I couldn't trust nobody no more. Because my entire life, no matter how great it was just a deception. And it served to show me and teach me a valuable lesson. That's all humans can do. That's all people can do. Is deceive. Because everything is an illusion. The only thing that's real is the moment. The people involved. But the moment people start opening their mouths, smiling, showing teeth, they start inserting agendas. They start inserting their spirit into the equation. And not everybody's spirit is even worthy of being in your presence. And that's what Stoics do very well. A Stoic man or woman or child is capable of simply detaching their energy from everything and everyone else, to the effect where people will starve and get desperate. And then they start spinning tail. Oh, so-and-so is hard to get along with. Impossible to get along with. Well, because I'm not willing to sit there and pretend to be buddies. I don't like your little high school drama club. Look in the mirror. Can't stand your own company. And now you want to make it somebody else's problem? And leech their energy to fill an infinite hole in your soul where your identity should have been? Because you require somebody else to define it for you? Because you have none of your own? As somebody who's ready to just be homeless and die, whether by the hands of somebody else or suicide, let me leave you with a valuable lesson. As Marcus Aurelius was privileged and powerful, he too was still only a human, only a man. He could have, as many have illustrated, speaking on the man, as a Caesar, as the fucking ruler of the goddamn world at the time. He could have had killed anyone that he wanted, okay? He could have had any lands that he wanted. He could have had any desire satisfied with a fucking snap of his fingers. And yet, the man lived and died a humble life. Before Marcus Aurelius was Caesar, he wasn't nothing. He was unwanted. He was a child that was given away to the Imperium. He had many teachers. I would presume some gracious, some perhaps not. And throughout his adolescent life and adult life, through to his death, he was surrounded by nothing but the imperial politics. Whether it was the barbarian hordes to the north, or the caliphates to the east, or the dreadful Sahara Desert to the south. Not much at the time to the west. People simply had not yet really made that voyage so easy. But if you remove the sea, you would have had the Aztecs and other such tribes. So you're talking about a man who found himself the leader of the quote-unquote known world at the time, the civilized world at the time, stuck somewhere between his inner circle, which more than likely wanted him dead and was comprised entirely of conspirators that wanted to simply usurp his power and take advantage of the Imperatore for his power and nothing more, to gain favor. And that's the thing that you all need to understand. You don't need favor from no one. You need favor from yourself. I am someone who spent the first 33 years of my life trying my hardest to satisfy Allah, the good son. Don't be a good son or daughter, be a good person. That's the only prerequisite to be and live around other people. Understand that we are all spirits, and those spirits carry with them not only the life force of God, but its own autonomous free will and energy. And there is no right or wrong. There aren't. Do you think that God and the universe care about who lives and who dies? Religion has sold you a lie that there is a heaven that if you're good, right, and therefore must create the bad to contrast it against. So what? You can have a goal, sure, but if that goal robs you of your ability to actually be original, authentic, again, we know there is nothing original under the sun. The authenticity I'm talking about here is the stoic virtue of simply accepting things as they are, not as you wish that they were. The sooner you embrace that and you accept that most people, again, some people are probably lucky enough that nobody around them is like this, but chances are most of us, I know myself, we're capable of falling into dark energies, becoming dark energies. And that's the thing, most people exist as a reminder of what virtues are, as lessons. I want to be a lesson to you all. It's not about beauty. It's not about nothing superficial like money, okay? Because energies can be entirely superficial, meaning they lack the substance to be called anything but an asset, a tool. And that's the thing. We're starting to treat people. We have always treated people more or less like that. And weaved stories and gone about in a way that has reduced civilization in the individual to little more than automata, robots. But we like to pretend that we're more. And when people don't cooperate with that, like take me in my workplace. I'm a great worker. That makes me relatively popular in the workspace. But I don't want to be Mr. Popular. And I certainly don't want to let people mistake my performance at work, my ability to deliver on the goods, have them mistake me for their buddy. I'm not. I don't like none of you. I tolerate you. No. If you're like me and you don't like me, and you tolerate me, and you make it exceptionally clear to me that you are treating me in a way that you want to be treated, then we can be courteous. Courtesy exists only insofar as we both understand that we're animals, and savage animals at that, who, absent this circus called civilization, would probably not think twice before killing, raping, and pillaging in any way, shape, or form. Because in spite of civilization, we're still very much doing that to ourselves, to one another. It should become rapidly evident just how superficial and entirely vacuous your life is. Once you understand that, once you hit that rock bottom, and you look around, and you have nothing but bedrock beneath your feet, you're at the bottom of the abyss. And then you realize that the thing that you were staring into, the abyss, is not staring at you. And you realize it's you all along. That's when growth happens. That's when growth starts. Problem is, everybody else is more or less in the same predicament. And not everybody's going about it in a very positive, optimistic, constructive way. Some take it to mean that fuck everyone else. I'm gonna step on them. I'm gonna use them and their carcasses as a stepping ladder to make my way out of the abyss. That's how we are. But no, it's not enough to be a genius capable of delivering the goods. You gotta do it all the while being a nice person, the bestest ever. See why I can't stand civilization? I can't stand people. Now I have people who are utter idiots, who aren't capable of doing anything outside of their training, thinking that there's something, someone. These are the same people that'll pick up their masters and carry them and still thank the master at the end. Thank you, master, for letting me carry you. But I'm the bad guy. You see, I am just another flawed person. As are you. As is everyone. I'm not here selling you anything. I am here doing what I like to think of as a video journal, where I talk about my self-diagnosed bipolar personality disorder, a very obvious childhood post-traumatic stress disorder, what seems to be a manic depression, amongst other numerous illnesses and ailments that I can probably not really think of right now, simply because I haven't really gotten to them yet. But as you can see from this card, and hopefully you can see from this card, and then you can't exactly see where the forceps were put to pry me out on my mother, but I don't know if that's the case, but that's what I've had somebody tell me. That could be the case. And I have fractures, lines that kind of coincide with where forceps would cause on an infant. And then the most recent one on my former employer, smashing into a pallet of tile. And even in my current employer, the first time around when I worked there, smashing into a steel handlebar of an appliance. And then, of course, having to listen to you. That's probably caused more brain damage than the impact, the blunt impact. But I'm the bad guy. It's fine. As the flames touch the skies, and you're all turned to ash, I'll enjoy the warmth. I'm not saying repent, the end is near. I don't know, only God knows. But I hope I'm there for the fire. Because it's been promised. And now it's the only promise that I want to see fulfilled. Because frankly, I've done my best. But you all look at me like I'm some fucking 7-headed alien. Because I don't smile at you. Because I don't want to sit there and waste my fucking time chatting with you. About what? What do you have to say? Nothing. You have nothing to say. The people who have the most to say are the most quiet people in the world. Because they understand that speech is energy. And if you have something truly meaningful to say, you're very measured and careful in how you say it. It's not an outburst like you just saw there. But that's all I can really do when I'm dealing with people anymore. It takes me everything that I have to simply not go out killing everyone on sight. Why? Are you all monsters? No. But that's just the kind of seething anger and murderous rage that one starts to feel as he looks around himself and sees nothing but empty laughter, absent any joy. You all sit around and congregate and sing Kumbaya, and what does that do? You're wasting your fucking time. You want real? Be real. The fake cannot get the real. The weak cannot get the strong. But once you accept that and internalize that, then now that you're down there, the bottom of the abyss, staring back up and looking at yourself and your eyes meet, one of you is going to have to make the first move. Which will it be? The higher self or the lower self? Choice is yours. Nothing means anything in the end, whether you choose your lower self or higher self. You're not doing anything else other than furthering your own misery and that of those unfortunate souls still stuck in you. So choose a higher self. Or choose the Lord's self. It don't matter to me. But I'm going to give you a pro tip before I leave you. It's not about choosing one or the other. That's why Stoicism is the remedy to such a thing. It's about choosing both. Making peace with both. Finding a very difficult balance, equilibrium between the two. And becoming, we're in a circus, becoming a master juggler. But I'm going to give you another pro tip. Time is running short. Not for the universe, but for us all. Because here's what's going to happen next. We'll either right course correct, and come correct, and be better, more supportive, and accepting of people as they are, as they were, no matter how great or broken they may be, because the broken are the greatest, as the greatest are the most broken, because one cannot exist without the other. And then supporting each other and becoming a foundation for a better human species, a better human civilization. Because the alternative is to continue to let this go on as it is. And then sooner or later, me or somebody else does come up on a red button. One that ends everything for everyone. And they will do so just for the warmth of the fire. Humans have become depressing and or indefensible. I don't know which of the prefixes I have to use there. I'm sorry. Your vices control you. The masters control you. And that's it. So, go get yourself meditations. Start looking into some Taoism. Learn about Buddhists' noble truths. And start to embody them. Turn away from religion. Turn away from politics. Turn away from the machine and its machinations. And develop a secular spiritual core that's based on nothing other than being a fucking cornerstone, a goddamn pillar in the foundation of humanity. Because there is no room left for anything else. The time has come. Tomorrow is May 1st. I have less than 24 hours. Actually, 18 hours almost to the dot to figure it out. Or I am done. It's game over, man! And I'm okay with that. You know, those of you who know me know that I'm a big fan of the Joker, the Batman's Joker. Not because he's evil, wicked, villain, cool, none of that. It's the philosophy. And there's none that exemplify why I like the Joker Joker more than why in The Dark Knight when Batman is beating him through a pulp in the interrogation scene and he's laughing. Why? Because once you realize all is suffering and that laughter is just the other side of the coin, nothing can threaten you anymore. Not their armies, not their killers, none of it. Because it's all a game. Some people are so consumed by said game that they think that that does in fact give them power and makes them better, elevates them. And some are so lost in the game, typically your religious leaders and politicians, that they think they're heroes somehow. Saviors. Look at me, I am so good. I help so many people. Do it anonymously. Oh, no, but then people won't know me. I won't be elevated and great and sing praises about me. Oh. So what you're saying is you're not doing it because you want to help people. You're saying it because helping people is like masturbation to you. Makes you feel good. One should help people because people need help. Not because it makes them better. Not because the person that needs help is the inferior. And poor them if you don't aid them. See, now I don't smile at people. I don't care about people. If I see that you need help, I'll help. Because I know what it's like to struggle. Everyone should. Except those born in a golden crib. Those know nothing. That's why we need to take their crib and burn it, melt the gold. Do something productive with it. Let them feel cold and hungry a little while. That will help them more than that golden crib. Now, my videos often end with sending you positive energy, but I'm done sending that to anyone. I'm going to match everybody's rotten energy to the last. And the few positive ones, hopefully I still have it in me to match that positivity, but I doubt it. You wore me out. You wore everybody out. We are many. The time has come. The fire rises. Have a good morning, a good day, a good afternoon, a good evening, and a good night wherever you are. And may God have mercy on us all.